All right.
So, Sean, how did you get into the trades?
I'm happy you asked. But in high school, I was this size in high school.
You're a big boy.
Yeah,
I feel like when we do meet in person, I'm gonna be like up to your kneecap.
buddy. You know who's a big guy? Aaron, from Colombia.
Oh, really? He
He,
looks like a tall bastard.
but look at the picture of us standing beside each other. When I walked in and saw him today, he was like, "You're not any fucking smaller."
Well, I saw that picture. I'm like, what's he been bulking or something?
He's
The guy looks
enormous.
huge.
Yeah, and he's not. You know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah,
just like his fucking build. I'm
no
not sure if he
shit.
even works out, dude.
Got
Yeah.
like farm boy genetics or something.
Jesus Christ. Okay. But so because of that, every asshole on the planet wanted me pushing a fucking wheelbarrow for $5 an hour, right? So I kind of picked up on that kind of stuff, and then
Yeah.
I got into drywalling out of town.
Yep.
And we were doing like Monday to the following Friday 12s.
Oh,
It was rough.
brutal.
Yeah,
12-hour days can just.
But what else are you gonna
Brutal.
do at a town,
Well,
right?
that I say that if I was single, I didn't have a wife and kids, I would
Oh,
probably do that. Just
fucking
eat
20.
that. Yeah,
It was
yeah,
mint.
exactly. At that
It was
age, that's
mint.
prime time. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's party money right there.
So yeah, there's lots of girls out of town. It was we were having a fucking good time, and I mean Monday to the following Friday, but at least once in that round of it all, you wouldn't even fucking show up because like you had just gone to bed.
Yeah.
So actually, so when I was working for Pat back then, and if we were going to go out and get killed, I would make sure he came and I'd fucking feed him drinks.
So you weren't the only one.
Oh yeah, and everyone's like, you don't gotta kiss his ass or whatever. But like when 6 o'clock rolled around and he wanted to sleep in the van, I would like find a place to sleep on site.
Yeah, yeah,
because I'm not stupid, right? It's just like no. But that's how I got into it, man. And it was like drywalling just came so easy. Like with just me being me, every time somebody's carrying a sheet, I was carrying two.
yeah.
So it felt like half the work all the time.
Yep.
And then very quickly I started framing. And as soon as the first time I put something against a laser and tacked it into place, like that, like feeling you get from that, I was hooked.
Yeah. That just, I know exactly what you mean. Definitely.
And then you fucking board it and everything's easy, right?
Yeah. That's the big thing with drywall is it all starts at the bottom. If you want a really good drywall job, you got to follow good framers.
Yeah.
Right. But maybe that's the art of drywall.
Is framing.
Fixing bad bullshit, hiding that mud framing.
Yeah. There is this like where I really like to frame board tape because I know everything's been bang on.
Absolutely.
So then when you go to tape, it's so easy. But I think that skill level comes from like a shitbag disaster frame job.
Yes, right? Absolutely. That was that's one thing my uncle made very apparent to me when I was learning was finishing houses doesn't make you a good taper. Patch jobs make you a good taper.
Totally.
Blending in old to new will make you a really good taper. It's all the same concept, right? But when you're trying to blend in a chunky old wall into something new and you want it to look right when you paint it, that's what makes you a good finisher. And that alone, also that I was going to say that earlier, if you're looking to get into drywall, do not start with auto tools. You have to learn to hand finish first. I see these guys that are strictly auto tool finishers who've never picked up minimal.
Yeah.
If you can't hand finish a wall, I don't think you have any reason to pick up a box until you understand how the process goes. Because the boxes aren't a cure for anything.
No, it's a speed up, in my opinion.
It does. It gains you time, but it does not fix problems.
Yeah.
Right. So that's another thing I would say to anybody looking to go into auto tools. Make sure you're proficient in hand finishing first. And then move into the auto tools because it's just a buffer. That's all it is.
Yeah, I did. So no one taught me how to tape. Like the guys taught me how to drywall and taught me how to frame, but no one ever taught me how to tape.
Yep.
So I would just fucking cake it on and sand it back to where I thought was appropriate. You know? And you're like, yeah, this is mint. And there's like this much dust everywhere.
Sand dunes.
Which sucks if anyone's asking. So I literally quit taping. And I was that kind of guy, and I wasn't very fucking good either. Like I'll be honest about that. Like, but
none of us
I was a hand taper, right? And it was fucking brutal. So I quit doing it. I focused on the other stuff that I enjoyed. And then when I picked up the taping tools, it was like, oh, holy shit.
Yeah.
Right. But that fundamental, I always say you got to eat shit, right? Like you have to eat a mountain of shit before you can appreciate things like shortcuts and you know what I mean?
Well,
like,
if you're gonna eat shit, eat it in mouthfuls. Don't take little bites. Jump in and do it.
Go get a ladle. Yeah, absolutely.
Go get a ladle, blend that up and drink it. You have to dive in head. If you're gonna be serious about something, dive into it head first. Don't be afraid of fucking it up. Just do it, because that's how you learn, man. It really is. I can show you the mudroom of my house. So I bought our house 8 years ago. It was boarded. I had never drywalled in my life 8 years ago. And I took it upon myself. I went and bought a 12-inch knife and a 4-inch knife.
For the first coat,
it took me 3 weekends, dude. And it's like 6 sheets. It's terrible. It's the worst drywall job I've ever done. But boy, is it a humbling thing to walk through every day and see where I've come from, right? So you have to start somewhere.
Reskim that shit, you lazy fuck.
Oh, I'm going to rip the board right out of it and redo it.
That's amazing.
That's terrible.
Yeah, you know, you have to. That podcast that I did about leadership, I used to have to sit guys down and be like, if you're not fucking things up at least once a week, I'm not teaching you anything.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Like if you're not pushing yourself and failing a few times a week, you're not even trying.
Yes, you have to push yourself beyond your comfort zone. You're never going to gain anything from staying inside your little bubble. Nothing happens there. Nothing will ever happen there. If you want to make money, money is outside that bubble. You have to put yourself in an uncomfortable situation that you're not familiar with and just work through it. And I was going to say the first one's the worst.
Yeah.
Once you get through that first one, it's cake after that.
And that money is exponentially bigger outside of that.
I've been drywalling full time for 3 years. We just lined up the biggest job I've ever seen on paper for drywall. I'll make double my annual salary in 6 months next year, if it works out. Not to brag, but this is a big deal.
Would you fucking be humble for a second?
It's just like one of those things. Like I never even expected this 3 years ago. You know what I mean? And I'm not even bragging. It just happened. It just like we have worked for a certain guy, and he's got a big enough project where he reached out and he said, I know there's only 2 of you. If you're down, what's your price? And my uncle happened to know the price that the last guy was putting on it, and they fired him because of his price. And he's like, well, I'll just knock a little off of that. And so we're gonna milk that one if it works out. But that's what happens if you get into this and you really devote your time to it. Like Brad, oh my bad, I keep knocking my fucking mic. If you get into this, you can make as much or more than a doctor. Drywall is the one trade, in my opinion, because it's all labor based. It's all labor based. If you really devote your time to it, drywall can make you a ton of money. But you have to have that gumption to get up and go to work.
That's discipline.
It is. You got to go into a job and have a set schedule every day. What are you going to get done today? And you're not going to leave till it's done. You know, get it done. You know, this job I'm talking about is 5,000 sheets. Huge. It's a big ass job. It's 3 phases. It'll take us probably 4 to 6 months. It's huge, but it's all gravy. It's 8 foot. You know, it's a big ass apartment complex. We're gonna live on it for 4 to 6 months. It's huge. But it's one of those deals. You know, I'll get a third up front. You bust through that first third, and then you get to bust through the second third to get your next check. So it's one of those, you do have to grind it out. but you just gotta, you gotta work to get your reputation to that point where somebody's gonna draw to you. You're
Well, and your
not gonna get
quality too,
that's
right?
just it. Like we have
Yeah.
worked for this particular guy in the past, but it wasn't directly for him. It was like a middleman that set us up with him. Well, in this last year, those two guys have parted ways, but this guy is the money guy.
Yeah.
And now it's come full circle. So we put a number that was conservative compared to what the last guy had, but it's still like,
yeah,
it's up there.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, ridiculous for what the work is. And the size of the job, the money is, the cost of the job is so high, you can throw a high number out there because their budget is so high. And not to say that you should always go into a big job like this with a high number, but don't undersell yourself either. You're never going to lose money in a job you don't get, right? Don't ever undersell yourself, because if you're working for half what the job is worth, what the hell is the point of doing it, right?
Exactly. And I got a good story for that, because I consider myself a very good carpenter.
Absolutely.
Right.
You're very good at what you do, Sean.
I think
it's very obvious, anybody that's coming at you with any flack, I mean, come on, man. It's just they're trying to boost their own fucking ego for some reason, and if they don't like what I'm saying, I'm sorry. It's not,
or make up for something. That's absolutely, usually that's what it is.
It is. It's compensating. That's all it is.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
I'm going to be very vague telling the story because I don't want to fucking call him out on it, but I started working with a guy, and I think at the time I was putting myself out at $50 an hour or something. Just, which to me was, that's $100,000 a year, right? You're doing okay.
That's like base. If you're going to be on your own, you have to put a value on your time, right?
Exactly.
You also have to pay for everything. That $100,000 gets knocked down fast.
Oh yeah. It's not a lot of money when you start thinking of what 50 an hour on your own is, and
taxes.
Exactly. And when I talked to him about it, he was like, I quoted out at $1,200 a day, and I was like,
holy shit.
For who? Right. And he was like,
that's the thing. That's just it. Who's above you that's putting the number on it?
That's right.
Where does your number jive with theirs? Like, where's that, you know what I mean?
So like, I almost fell over when he told me that. And I was like, that's amazing. And I on the inside though, I felt like that's a ridiculous number. And then we were on a job, and like, he had to get extra material, and he had to get this, and he had to get that. And I brought up to him, and I was like, listen, man, I know you're probably not winning on this one. I don't need my full pop. Like, we'll win and lose as a team kind of thing. He looked at me, he's like, I don't fucking lose money. I don't.
They don't they don't put a number on it to lose money.
Well, and that's the whole thing is he quotes that high, which I thought was crazy, but he quotes that high because when it fucking plummets into the ground, he still makes money
makes money, or he comes under and looks like a hero.
Exactly.
Right. And still makes money.
Yeah. And it's when you, especially with carpentry, like, anybody can cut. I don't mean to say anybody, but I mean a lot of guys can just frame and do whatever. But when you start getting into like exotic woods and exotic materials, and it's not even the cost of the materials, it's the time frame to get more.
Right.
So when you start fucking things up, that's a piece that we needed, right?
Yeah.
That's a
totally different skill set right there. No, that's way beyond my knowledge right there. That's why I stick to that.
Oh, totally.
and finish work.
And I'm not sure I'd be ballsy enough to take on things like that myself, but that's why I'm so happy to jump in, because it's like I thought and still think that this guy is like a carpenter's carpenter,
That's cool.
And when we're in the same room talking about it, he's like, what do you, we're equal? And I'm like, I don't fucking think so, man. But I think a lot of that's humble, and I think a lot of that too is you're always hard on yourself, right? And whatever, but
absolutely. Well, we're our own worst critics,
and you have to be, and the guys that are the performers,
right? Absolutely,
right? Like, there's no cheerleading going on.
It's not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. That's for me, because I didn't start taping, I did like landscaping and stuff when I
I did
started.
landscaping. Yeah.
Yeah, I did that out of high school. I did landscaping up through. I keep hitting this goddamn mic.
That's all right.
Hopefully it's not too loud. But yeah, I started in landscaping, and then I got into my all my uncles are contractors. My uncle that I
Okay.
work with has been a drywaller forever. My other two uncles are builders, and phenomenal. Really are. That's all they know. They're just fantastic builders. And it's really cool because since I've got into working with my uncle Randy, I get to work with my other uncles, which is really cool. I get to spend
Yeah.
time with family on the job. Everybody jives. It's just a cool atmosphere.
Totally.
But I forget where I was going with this. You have to you got to put yourself in an element where you're comfortable, right? So for me, when I started doing this, I started with a contractor that did everything. He was kind of like a glorified handyman. He was like a
Yep.
kind of a GC, but he did everything from the ground up, and he wasn't really good at all of it. Like really any aspect of it, he wasn't really that
Yeah.
good at it. But that was my first introduction to drywall, was with working with him. But come to find out down the road, he did it like he was using like +3 to tape, which is not ideal, because it's really not a tape. Even though they claim it's a taping compound, it really doesn't have the adhesives in it to really bond anything. It does. Some guys claim that's all they use. I've never had good luck with it.
I've never
But
heard
that
of it before. Yeah.
+3 is it's a bed, it's a tape bed skim compound is what they call it. But it's almost like fluff. I don't like it.
Okay.
I have a hard time working with it. Some people love it, but that's not to say it's a bad product. But like the little things that I didn't notice at the time, like all of his outside corners, he would use no coat, real no coat, not the bead.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah,
He's
yeah.
wrapping like returns in no coat, and I didn't think he was even doing all his inside corners with it. So like all these corners we're having to miter them together, and I didn't know any better, and then come to find out, I started actually doing it and learning from a guy. The first guy I really started to learn from was a 50-year veteran. He's like 65 years old, and he really showed me what was up. He had a banjo, he ran the banjo, and what he actually did is we'd run the banjo in the angles and we'd roll them with a level 5 roller and then wipe them out and then coat them by hand. That was his process. It was actually pretty fast on the tape side of it. But it was just like a small introduction to the auto tool thing with a banjo. And then with my uncle, he had a whole other way of doing it. So it kind of showed me 3 different ways of how to do it. And then I kind of
so key. Yeah.
It is. You got to kind of get broken into it. But that was what I didn't like about working for that first contractor, was I wasn't spending enough time on one aspect of the job to get really good at it. And I didn't like that. And maybe if I had stuck it out, it wouldn't have been that way. But we literally did.
Neither was he.
Absolutely. Right? I mean, he really shined on like groundwork and hardscaping, patios, retaining walls, pads, stuff like that. That's where he really shined because he had the equipment for it. But he would do full renovations. He would like GC jobs. Yeah. But he literally learned how to do carpentry out of magazines. And it was like, some of it was kind of, I can show you pictures of a couple decks we did, and it's like, fuck, dude. Yeah, it's just like, you think it looks good, then you take a picture and you look at the picture.
If you take your left shoe off, it looks really good.
But that was like when I got into the drywall side of it, I understood what I was doing wrong, and I had to correct those problems really quickly. If I was gonna, really, dig my heels in and do it full time. But yeah, I forget where I was going with this, but drywall has for me opened a lot of doors.
Yeah.
It has given me a really solid income to support my family and give us more than just paychecks. You know what I mean?
Totally.
And if I was going to give any advice to any young guy looking to get into the trades, just explore drywall, because and not just drywall, like you're saying, if you can do the framing, the boarding, and the taping, and even the painting, and then floors and trim work, you have a solid amount of work right there that you'll probably never run out of. That's where I started with flooring and tile work. I did custom showers and stuff like that. That
I
was
wanted
kind
to
of my
ask,
in
yeah.
with the showers were fun. I had a lot of fun with it, but I didn't pursue it on my own because in this area, they just nobody wants to pay the money what it's worth.
Yeah.
Everybody just wants you to slap a shower up, and I have seen so many showers go up that I guarantee will leak within 5 years.
And they're killed. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and people pay big money for them. It's like, oh my, it just turns my stomach to see this kind of work going to brand new houses, and
Mhm.
a lot of it isn't even undereducated people. It's just they're not aware that there's new systems to do
Totally.
this. A lot of guys will just throw up hardy board, no waterproofing, and rely on grout to seal a shower, and it's just not how
Yeah.
it works. And I just got tired of it. I really did. And when oh, my baby's crying again. And when I had the opportunity to move into drywall, I just dove in head first because I saw the
Yeah.
demand, and I just have stuck with it ever since. And I like to work on my own, and I tend to 90% of the time. So I just show up, throw my earbuds in, go to work.
That's the earbuds are key, bro.
Hell yeah.
It's especially now where I'll ask Siri what time it is, or like whatever, and
Yeah.
or text Jonathan, like my cousin,
Yeah.
and they do it all hands free. Like that's a game changer. So to touch on what you just were talking about, I have a very hard time not doing my best.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
if I'm only half-assed at something, that keeps me up at night.
Yeah,
And so
definitely.
I just don't do it, or
Yeah.
I charge so much fucking money that I can spend a week doing a 3-day job.
That's the way I look at it as well.
Yeah.
If I skimp on something major, I think
Yeah,
about it all night,
totally.
or
Well, it's
if
a
I have a,
conscience.
it
Yeah.
is like if I have a big job coming up, I know is a big job. I'm like the night before, I'm going over in my head what I got to do in the morning. And
Same.
it's always the same. Every
Yeah.
job's the same. You show up, you cut out the blowouts, you pre-fill it, and you tape it. It's
Yeah.
always the same. But every job has its bullshit, and that's been the hard part with I told you my cousin's been coming on with us.
Yeah.
It's my uncle that I work with. It's his son. He's been hand taping for 15 years. He's a good finisher. He really is a good finisher. It's not straight and clean, but all his shit, when you paint it, it looks fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to get into the boxes and the auto tool game. He really is having a hard time grasping the little things involved with it, like how to hold the box. He's trying to hold the box and pull it like this way instead of push it with your body. And I'm trying to tell him, like, use your body as leverage, man. It's a push-pull. Pull with his hand, push with, and he's just having a hard time grasping that. And I've had him on, like, I think this is like the 6th or 7th job I've had him on trying to run the boxes. And he's just having a hard time grasping it. And I'm like, okay, maybe this isn't for you. You can run a trowel like any other guy, but maybe the boxes just aren't for you. I think maybe some guys just aren't meant to run the auto tools, and I do my damnedest to just like show him the easiest way to do it. Maybe it's just not for him. I don't know.
But there are people like that, man, where this is going to be fucking like swinging a left-handed golf club. I'm just never going to get good at it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I'm right-handed.
Well, that's just it. And that's kind of what blows me away about my uncle, because he's been doing this at the time when we bought our first set, he'd been doing it 35 years by hand. Yeah. And he was adamant. He's like, we are going to buy these and we are going to learn how to run them. And it doesn't matter how long it takes. And I'm really glad that he made that decision, because it was huge for both of us.
Yeah.
The amount of money we started making after we learned how to run these was just so much more than we made by hand. And again, if anybody listening to this wants to get into running auto tools, just bite the bullet, buy a whole setup. Don't skimp, buy the whole setup, and just watch every video you can, ask any question you can to anybody on Instagram. The guys that blow you off, fuck them. It doesn't matter. The guys that help you out, lean into it. You know what I mean? Drywall Doctor, I highly recommend that guy, because he really does have great content. He's been doing this for, same thing, 40 years. Most of that career is auto tools. He's smart. I wish he had an Instagram, because the guy would blow up. But then you got Brad, you got Drywall Nation, you got Phil. They are they're like the amount of content these guys put out is so helpful. It really is. And same with you. You put out a ton of content. That's something I don't have. I don't have that in me to put content out, dude. I just
It
don't
comes
have it.
so easy to me though. Like I started the Instagram because I was watching Brad and it was cool.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you remember how skateboarding was in high school?
Oh,
Where
everybody wanted to do it. Brad
everybody
made
wanted to do
drywall
it.
look cool, dude.
Brad made. I'm wearing this is my fucking lucky hat.
I know. I want
well, maybe I'll talk to him for you.
Hey, Brad, can I get one of those?
I actually, you know, the joke of all this is I was like, I got a podcast tonight. He's like, oh yeah, who is it? And I'm like, it's fucking High Cut from the States there. And he goes, fucking Josh is a beaut. It's like, yeah, you fucking know. You know what's going on.
Thanks, Brad.
Yeah.
No, I was talking to Brad before I even had my High Cut page. I was on my personal page, and it was like I'm not kidding, like his page solely was what got me into it. And then from him, I discovered Phil and Brian. But Brad is like really to the point.
Totally.
You know, there's no beating around the bush. Not
He's
that
like,
Brian and Phil do that, but they're a little more user friendly, right?
Yeah.
In a sense. Brad's just gonna fucking come out and say it, which I
he's
love.
an acquired taste. That's
He's absolutely an acquired taste, but he's my acquired taste.
Same.
I like that. I lean right into that.
Mhm.
My whole thing is, if you're gonna teach me how to do something, teach me how to do it the right way the first time. Don't let me just fail and try to flop around and figure it out. I'm doing this as my living. I want to know how to do it right.
Yeah.
You know, so, and not that any of these other guys led me in the wrong direction.
No,
but
so like 5 or 6 years ago now was when I learned that auto taping was a thing.
Same.
Right?
Yeah, I didn't even know about it.
And it was from Brad. And I like, that's how long I've known him. And then when I decided that I was going to start fucking doing it, I didn't quite go to him like, okay, give me all the whatever. But his answer over and over was, go get some quality tools and spend some fucking time on them.
Yes, absolutely.
That is what it is.
The best thing I've ever heard came from one of my best friends who's a glass blower. And when he got into blowing glass, the guys teaching him said, hours is powers.
Yeah, that's solid.
The more time you put on it, the better you're gonna get. And that goes across the board. How do you become a journeyman? You put 10,000 hours in. That takes 5 years. You put 5 years into something, it doesn't matter what you do. You're probably going to be pretty damn good at it, right?
I always go back to that when there are miserable fucking people or people that do shitty jobs on sites where I'm like, you obviously don't want to do this. So go find what you want to do and invest 5 years in it. What the fuck is, literally how long would it take to get a good grasp on something? 2 years?
Mm-hmm.
In 2 years from now, you could be happy.
Well, that's the thing too. It's like you see these guys like, oh, I've been doing this 25 years. It's like, well, I think you have a year's worth of experience and you've been using that for 25 years. You haven't bothered to grow, you know? To me, if you're not really putting your heart and soul into it, because this is my living, this is how I make my money, this is how I support my family. You know, my wife literally, while we're waiting here getting ready to talk to you, she goes, I don't understand why you're doing a podcast about drywall. I'm like, well, it's just like its own subculture, you know. It's
my
like,
friend Sean's an idiot.
Yeah. He's got a bottle of tequila and we want to drink it.
That's right.
But you know that.
Someone's going to listen to this and pick up on all the things that we have.
Right.
It's the same
look beyond the vulgar comments. It's
I apologize for my language quite a bit today, actually.
By Columbia Tools.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where's your sign?
Is it backwards?
No, it's not. Not on my side. But that's my thing is I would really love to see an influx of young, like teenagers coming out of high school interested in drywall, because it would really help us down the road, because I either lean really hard into this and hire guys, or I do it on my own and beat the hell out of my body, because regardless of what anybody says, this is a hard trade to do for years on end. Even if you're using auto tools, the big trade-off between hand finishing and auto tools is you're not getting the tendonitis and the carpal tunnel syndrome that you would with hand finishing, but your body takes a beating.
Oh yeah.
And if that's one heads up I'll give to anybody looking to do this, it is very physical running auto tools. You cannot show up hungover every day, eating fucking burritos from the gas station.
Yeah.
Eat a good breakfast. Get ready to, if you're going to run a bazooka, I've been saying that to my uncle. We got to find a young kid out of high school, tall and rugged, to run that goddamn bazooka. Because thing, you run that thing for 6 hours, man, you are done.
Yeah.
You are done. I can take 200 sheets in 6 hours. After that 6 hours, I do not want to pick that thing up anymore.
The last time you fill that, that's what I mean. Yeah. The last time you fill that, you pick it up like, this is a lot heavier than this morning.
Even the carbon fiber one, I'm like, holy fuck, man, this thing is just too heavy.
Yeah, good times, man. That's I just feel like everybody that I resonate with comes to that same conclusion.
Absolutely.
Where it's, you got to figure out what you want to do. You got to figure out what makes you happy, and then you got to do it really well.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I 100% agree with that. I really enjoy working by myself. But I really enjoy also working with my uncle. But that's the thing, is if you're gonna make you're gonna dive in head first and work with somebody, you have to jive.
Yeah.
You have to be able to give each other criticism, not get butthurt about it, and understand that you're not trying to criticize, you're trying to help the outcome of the product that you're both putting down.
Totally.
Right.
My cousin is that person for me.
Yeah. And you have to hold each other accountable, man. Today, I went to a job that I missed 2 days on because my kid was sick and my uncle ran skimmed flats. And he walked in. I'm like, Randy, you got to change your fucking blade and your shoes on your box because this looks like shit, bud. You know how long it's going to take to sand this? It's just one of those things. And he was just like, yeah, I've been lazy. I'm like, you got to stop being lazy. Change that goddamn blade. Every 3 jobs, change that blade. That's what I do. Every 3
What does it cost?
$10.
Yeah.
Or a day of sanding.
Exactly.
What is it worth to you? Little things like that. And that comes with time, learning how to run it. That's another thing that sucks about the auto tools, is understanding when to do the maintenance, keep them clean, keep the blades changed, keep your shoes changed. That makes a big difference. Aside from that, just have fun. You got to learn the damn things, but I don't know. Aside from that,
I think we got like 3 minutes left.
Well, Sean, I had a blast, dude.
Yeah.
Cheers, brother.
Honestly, man, this was a clink.
We'll do it again.
This was an excellent first podcast.
I had a blast. I will maybe next year when CSR does their thing, I'll get my passport squared away. I'll come up.
Dude, yeah.
I'd love to do that.
You fucking stay here. You do whatever you want. Yeah,
dude, I'd love to.
You're always welcome.
Make a couple days out of it and we'll have a good time.
Yeah. You got any shout outs or anything you want to do?
Nah.
Yeah, buy Columbia tools. Okay, cool.
Yeah, buy Columbia. As Columbia's listening, they want to send me a 14 and a 72-inch bent pole.
Right. We'll have to make a snippet of that and then post it.
But no, I've never been that guy. I just go to work.
Yeah, earn it. Earn it.
I'm not talking down to anybody like you that just puts that content out there. I just don't have it in me.
For a lot of this, I didn't ask for much of it.
No.
It was like, would you do for this?
Yeah. No.
Yes.
Shout out to Wolfgang and Can-Am for hooking me up, because really impressed with their tools. And anybody interested in Can-Am, go buy it. You will not be sorry. Seriously.
And again, I met him today for the first time. What a humble human being.
Yeah. Oh, everybody I know that's dealt with him just talks so highly of him, and I have no ill words to say. He's just fantastic. Great quality products.
All right, let's wrap this up. Everybody give Josh a follow on High Cut Drywall. That is what it is, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll find it. Go on.
I'm kind of lame. I only post like once a month, but
that doesn't matter.
It's okay.
Just do it. Do it.
Just do it. And buy Columbia tools.
That's right. Okay, be humble. Treat everyone the same, and do your fucking job.
Do your fucking job.